we try to make a lot of opportunities for the young bulls, the young gals to have places. Come up with the singing, the leadership. And this morning, I guess, my son Aaron, he's one of the young bulls, I guess. We're going to give him a chance to throw his horns around a little bit. And he's actually going to Bible college online. So for one of his Bible classes, he has to preach and they have to record it. And he has to send it in and get graded on and all that stuff. So this morning, old bull gets pushed out. I get to go sit in the sun over here by the window this morning. Young bull gets to come up, do his thing. And so, anyway, let's start off with a word of prayer. And we're really glad you're all here today. Dear God, we thank you so much. Thank you for loving us and for caring for us. And Father, I'm thankful that we aren't heard, but we're a family. We're your family. And you love each of us. We're each unique. We each have a different role, different personality. Young, old, man, woman, married, single, Father, whatever our status is. Father, you love us, you care for us, you're with us, and we thank you for that. We give a special thanks for mothers on this Mother's Day. Father, I just pray that you be with Aaron as he brings us the word this morning, that it may find its way into our hearts and our minds, so we may apply it to grow in our knowledge and love for you, Father. We pray all these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Glad to see you all here. Today, I want to talk about distractions. Because we all have distractions in our life, but we don't always know how to deal with them. So, I think there's two different kinds of distractions. There's bad distractions, and there's good distractions. A bad distraction would be like not reading your Bible, maybe skipping church, worrying about things that are out of your control. Maybe a fear of sharing Christ with someone else. And a good distraction would be maybe your job, spending too much time with your job, a hobby, playing too many video games, fishing, hunting, or sleeping. Those aren't bad things, but if you do them in excess, if you're sleeping like 18 hours a day, that's probably not good, right? So that'd be like, that'd be categorized as a distraction. So I kind of have an analogy for how distractions look like in our life. So I want you to picture this guy driving over to Lord Rule Fair, okay? So he's going across the dam and he gets a text message from Uncle Billy. So even though he's driving, bad distraction, he picks up his phone and starts texting back. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, sorry, Billy, I'm driving. I can't text right now. I gotta go. Send. And he puts it down in his pocket, okay? But what he missed while he was texting is that there's a car in front of him, and the guy fell asleep at the wheel, swerved off the road, jumped the riprap, and landed in the water. But he was texting on his phone, distracted by his phone, and he didn't notice that. So he just keeps on going. He goes onto the dark side, and that's story. Okay, so he gets on the dark side, getting ready to enter Lord Rule, and his farmer pulls out, and he doesn't notice the farmer because his favorite song came on the radio, and so he starts singing to it. I don't know if you guys do this while you're driving, but when I'm driving, usually when it's just me by myself, I turn up the song real loud and sing to it, but I gotta make sure that I turn up the song loud enough that I can't hear myself sing, because when I hear myself sing, it messes the whole thing up. So I gotta really crank it up loud. So this guy was singing to his favorite song, didn't notice the farmer pulling out, and broadsided him, and didn't get killed or anything. So that's kind of like a good distraction. Singing to your favorite song isn't necessarily bad, but when you're singing to it so much that you don't pay attention to the road and you hit somebody, that's not good. Because he hit the car, then it took him even longer to get to the powwow. So that's kind of a little analogy, and that's how we often go through life. That's often how our life looks like. When we're going through life, some bad distraction comes up, and we don't notice someone next to us, non-Christian or someone else that needs our help, that needs someone to talk to, that needs a shoulder to lean on. We don't notice that because we're too distracted with something. And then, just like the farmer that's pulling out, we're singing to our favorite song, we're distracted by something good, and we don't notice the car pulling out. We hit somebody, and it keeps us from getting to our destination on time. It keeps us from getting to the powwow on time. So those are kind of two different kinds of distractions that are in our life. So now I want to look up a passage that's in the New Testament, and this book was written, we think maybe by Paul, but the authorship of this book is unknown. And this book was written to the Israelites and other early Christians, and it would have been after the death of Jesus Christ. So it's kind of explaining to early Christians, like how to live a good life, how to be a Christian. And this is in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. It's on page 1835. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, on page 1835. Maybe I wrote down the wrong page number. Okay. Or it might be on page 1877. I think we have two different Bibles out there. Okay, but it's Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. And it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders, and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." So, there's three things we learn from this passage. First, we learn that we're in a race, or in the race of life. And our destination is heaven. And third, that there's distractions in our life. So, we're kind of like the guy on the road. We're going on life trail. We got distractions trying to hold us down, but our destination is heaven. We have a goal and we have a purpose. So, we're going to kind of just stay right here in this passage, so make sure you keep your finger in there. And we're just going to kind of look at each one of these three verses individually and kind of break them down a little bit. So I want to reread this first verse again. It says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." So this verse is talking about is that we have distractions, but we need to give those distractions to God. And we need to give those distractions to God. It's kind of like a general thing, like distractions are bad, right? You need to give them to God. But what is the downside of having distractions? A lot of times we think that, yeah, a few things distracting me, but I mean, it's okay. Only person that's really is affecting is me. I'm just really not hurting anybody around me. But that's wrong. It is hurting people around you. Because when you're a Christian and you're going through life, there's people that are watching you. You got your friends, different family members, and other people that aren't Christians yet watching you. And if they see that you can't handle the little distractions in your life, then they think, well, if they can't handle that little distraction, they can't handle a bigger distraction like a family member passing away. And if they can't handle those little distractions, then what's the point of even being a Christian? Why should I want that if they can't even fix the problems that they have in their own life? So not only are we on a race in running, but we also got a crowd of people watching us. So we have this huge sphere of influence with people watching us that we need to be mindful of. So, being distracted from God is bad, right? But now, how do we get rid of those distractions? And I was writing this up, it made me think of a really good story. I don't know if any of these young teens, were any of you guys on the first Big Bend hike? Maybe? Tim was. I don't think Kenny was yet. So maybe just Tim and Terry. Okay, so I don't know how many years ago this would have been, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when we'd have an annual hike around the bank of the river. I think last year we went from Chamberlain back here to Diamond Willow, and usually takes like 24 hours, spend the night out there. So walk most one day, spend the night, and then walk the rest of the day until you get to our destination. So anyways, we started way up over towards the pocket and walked back. I think it was like a 40-mile hike. But this is the first year we did it, and we're all kind of young guys. We're all like really gung-ho. We were really excited to do this, and we really didn't have any experience for long hikes, like what to pack, what we needed, and what things were a little excessive. And personally, I packed a little bit too heavy, and I packed some things that I really didn't need. Like I brought a gun along, and come to find out, that's like the most desolate area on planet Earth, right along the river. I think I saw one pheasant and one duck that whole time. So I had this big old shotgun I was carrying along the whole time. I didn't even get to shoot at anything. And so I thought I was going to be killing all this wildlife and having this great time, and I have to be cooking up all this meat and stuff. So I brought this whole set of pans and pots and ladles and cups. Okay, so bad idea. I don't even think I really used them. And then, did I bring that cast iron skillet too? Yeah, I brought a cast iron skillet. Cast iron is really heavy, so I had like 10 pounds of pots and pans, and then I had my big 5-pound cast iron skillet in my backpack. So I think my backpack weighed like 40 pounds. And the most essential thing when you're going on a long hike, we found out, is that water is like gold. It's like the most precious commodity you can have. And because I had so much other junk in my backpack, I couldn't fit very much water in there. That was a really big mistake. And of course all the other guys, it's a work in process. Now we kind of got it down, but everyone else didn't really pack enough water either. So by the end of the first day, we drank up about half our water. And then during the course of the night, we drank up another quarter of our water, so we only had a quarter of our water left. It was like an 80, 90-degree day that we were walking. And so we were walking along, and halfway through the day, we ran out of water. So we're walking along in the heat. I had on my 40, 50-pound backpack walking along and starting to get dehydrated. And the other thing is that I was actually getting sick. The day before we went on the hike, I was actually starting to come down with the flu. But I decided that I wanted to do it anyways because it'd be such an awesome experience. So I had the flu, I had a 50-pound backpack, I had no water, and was dehydrated. And some of the guys got so dehydrated, we were actually like, there was in a cow pasture, and the water that was brushing up against the shore looked like pea soup because there was so much cow manure in there. And a couple of guys actually tried to strain the cow manure out of their hands and drank the water. That's how desperate we were. Okay, so we're walking along, dehydrated. I was feeling weak and sick, my big 50-pound backpack, and the bluffs over there, I don't know if any of you guys have been over there, but the bluff is just all these hills up and down and up and down. So we're walking up and down and up and down, and my legs are hurting, I was tired, sick, and everything else, trying to make it up these hills. And we're almost to our destination, and I just really couldn't hardly go any further. Fortunately, a friend of mine, Shane, was there, and he's kind of like God in this story, okay? So he was there. He's like, Aaron, you want me to take your backpack for a little bit? And I'm like, no, I can do it. I can do it on my own. I got this. It's not that much further. We only got 5 miles left. And I try to go, and then a couple minutes later, like, you sure you don't want me to take your backpack? And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. So I let him take my backpack, and then I felt so free and light and everything, and I was able to finish it out. But I think that's how distractions are for us in life. Things get us down, we're sick, whatever, dehydrated, and we're going along. We got this 50-pound backpack with all these distractions, these cast iron skillets, pots, pans, ladles, spoons, and no water. And God's right there next to us, and he's saying, let me take those distractions from you so you don't have to. I can take those from you, and you don't have to worry about it. But a lot of times we're trying to hang on to that, saying, I got it, it's just a little bit further, I can make it on my own power. But the truth is we need God to handle those distractions so that we can truly be free. And so when I gave that backpack to Shane, then I felt so much freer, and I was able to keep going with perseverance and make it to the end goal. And so when we give our distractions to God, we're basically saying that He can have control of them. That they're out of our power, that He can have control of them. And kind of example of that is I got a really big college test coming up. It actually has nothing to do with this class. It's actually a separate thing. It's a CLEP test I'm taking. And if I don't pass it, then I'm going to have to go to school for an extra month before I can graduate. So I've been like really worried and stressed out, like losing sleep over it. And doing this sermon like really convicted me. And so, I sat down and I prayed, God, please take this distraction away from me. It's not going to help me to worry about what kind of score, what kind of grade I'm going to get on this test. Because all I have to do is give you my best, and you're going to take care of the rest. So I did that, but just like on that hike, trying to give up that backpack, I really didn't want to give up that backpack. So it's the same thing, like I'm still worried about it. It's still a really big struggle for me to try to give that worry and that distraction to God. It's really hard. It's not just easy, say one prayer, okay, it's all taken away. It's hard. It takes choice. You have to wake up every morning and say, God, these are my distractions. Please help me work through them. Please, I give these to you. Help me to be content. I know that you're in control. And when we do give those to God, then we have this amazing freedom that allows us to keep on pressing on through the race of life with perseverance. So now we know we're running a race, and now we know how to get rid of our distractions. We need to fix our eyes on Jesus. Because now we have our distractions, we're totally free. Now we need a direction to go to, so we aren't just wandering around aimlessly. We've got to have a direction, we've got to have some focus. So I want to pick up your Bibles again to Hebrews 12. This time we're going to look at verse 2. And it says, "Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God." And so this is basically talking about how we can fix our eyes on Jesus. And it makes me think of, for Fort Powwow this last year, they had a race one morning, and I was super excited because the top 3 finishers got prize money. And so I wanted to get some money to buy myself some chili cheese fries and Indian taco for the day. So the problem was that I hadn't trained at all. I was actually in pretty sad shape. I hadn't been playing much basketball or anything, so I was really out of shape. But I ate a bunch of bananas and a bunch of fruit the day before, and didn't eat any grease or anything unhealthy, and went into the race. And if any of you have run a long distance race, like you always see, like when a race starts, like there's always like when I started out, there's like all these little kids. As soon as it said go, like shots out of a cannon, they all took off running. But by the time they got about 200 yards out, they're like walking, like sitting down in the grass, huffing and puffing. So when you run a race, it's not just a 100-yard sprint. It's like you have to like run, set a slow, steady pace. Like slow and steady wins the race. So you got to set a slow and steady pace and just kind of hold that and keep going. So I set myself a nice, good, slow, steady pace and slowly passed up people until about halfway through the race, it was just there was about 4 of us. One guy, he was, I don't know, some kind of Superman. He was like way off in the distance in front of me, a little speck. So I knew I wasn't going to get first. But then second and third, there was 2 younger kids, I don't know, like really early teens, maybe not even teenagers yet. And it's so discouraging because I was like pumping out everything I had. I looked behind me, and here's these 2 little kids. we're breathing hard or anything, just kind of like jogging behind. Oh no! I try to run faster. I couldn't lose them, man. They're just always right behind me. But I figured, man, if I go through this whole race and get beat right at the end by 2 little preteens, this is going to be really sad. I ended up getting second in the race, but when I was running and I look up and I kind of like look out in front of me and I see that I have like miles left to go, I get so discouraged because like, man, that's so far. I don't think I can make that. I don't think I have enough energy to get there. But what I do is just kind of like look at the road right in front of me, like a couple steps ahead, and just think to myself, one more step here, one more step. Okay, they're back there. Go on, one more step. Come on, keep going. So I focus on the ground right in front of me, and that's what kind of helped me get through the race. And then I bought myself my chili cheese fries and Indian taco, this celebration afterwards. But I had to focus on the ground right in front of me, just right in front of me. I couldn't look at the long distance because it was too discouraging. I had to focus on the ground right in front of me. And that's the same thing we need to do in our Christian life. Because Jesus is always there. He's always right in front of us. And all you have to do is look up, stop looking at the distractions that are around us, and just focus on Him. Just take things one step at a time. And Jesus is a really great example of this. In the Garden of Gethsemane, before He was crucified, He gave all of His worries and all of His distractions to God. And He said, God, if there's another way out of this, I really don't want to die. But if it's your will for me to die, then I'll be completely content with that. And in this verse, it says that who for the joy set before Him endured the cross. So He gave all His worries and distractions to God so much that He is so content. He is able to be flogged, beaten, and everything else, be strung up on a cross, and able to be joyful when that happened. He was so content, He's so fully given His distractions over to God that He was able to endure all that pain with joy. And so we need to kind of model that same thing in our lives. So, first off, when we have distractions that lead us away from God, we need to give those distractions to God. Then after we give those distractions to God, we can't be running all helter-skelter. We got to focus on Jesus and just take things one step at a time. So now I want to look at the last verse. So Hebrews chapter 12, verse 3, if you still got your finger in there. And it says, "Consider Him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." I think kind of the key thing in this verse is kind of like we're in the race, that we're in a marathon. It's not just a 100-yard dash, that things are going to come up and it's going to be hard, but we can't give up. We got to keep pressing on. Even if the little kids behind us are right on our heels, we got to keep pressing on to that goal. We can't be distracted. So, just like Jesus endured such stiff opposition when He endured the cross, He never gave up, and we should follow His example and never give up on the one that never gave up on us. I want to say that again. We should never give up on the one who never gave up on us. Jesus never gave up on us, and He endured the cross so that we could have salvation, have that free gift. And we should never give up on Him. He gave His life for us. And the least we can do is be wholly devoted to Him and give Him our distractions so that we can focus on Him. And it makes me think of like when Thomas Edison made the light bulb. Like, you know a light bulb's burnt out and you take it and you shake it and you hear something bouncing around in there? What that is that's actually the filament. Like electricity passes through this little thin wire and it makes it glow, and that's what gives the light. So when Thomas Edison had made the light bulb, he actually had to try like all these different filaments to try to find the right one. And like, maybe he like took a horsehair, stuck it in there, ran some electricity through it, and just a stinky smell of smoke, burnt hair, But he didn't give up on his first try. When the first time he failed, he didn't say, "Oh man, this whole project's a failure. It can't be done, and I'm just going to give up." Because if he gave up, we wouldn't have light bulbs today. And you kind of look around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're pretty important. We use them every day. And so, just like he never gave up, he learned from his mistakes, and he's able to develop a better and better filament to make a better and better light bulb that will last for longer and longer. And in our Christian life, we need to live our life with that same drive, that same purpose. When distractions come up in our life, we need to keep pressing on. We need to learn from our mistakes, learn from our distraction, so that we can keep pressing on with a goal and purpose. And that goal and purpose that we're striving after as Christians is heaven. Because we either got two choices. We're either going to go to hell or we're going to go to heaven. There's no in-between goal. There's no in-between destination that we're going to go to. It's one or the other. And so the value of that statement is like we're going to spend eternity in one place or the other place, and that's all going to be dependent on what we do right here in our short lifetime, our short race here on earth. So the value of this is so immense, we can't be discouraged when one little thing goes wrong. We got to learn from it. We got to keep pressing on. We got to focus on the ground right in front of us, focus on Jesus, and keep pressing on that race. So, 3 things. First, we have distractions in our life. We got to give those distractions to God. Second, After we give those distractions to God, we got to fix our eyes on Jesus. And after we fix our eyes on Jesus, we got to realize that we're not running a 100-yard dash. We're in a marathon. It's a long-distance race. We got to keep on pressing on with perseverance. So, remembering these steps will go a long ways towards overcoming the many distractions that we have and we face day in and day out in our lives. So now, I want you to think of 3 distractions that you have in your life. And they can be big distractions, little distractions, tiny distractions, whatever. And as long as you get one distraction, I want you to kind of think of that, something that distracts you from pursuing God. So, kind of got an idea up there in your mind. Now I want you to really think about how these 3 things would apply to that. Kind of give yourself a personal example of how you can live this out in your daily life. Okay, so first off, I want you to think of that distraction. Now, I want you to think about giving that distraction to God. How you can give that to Him, wholly give it to Him, not just a little part, but give the whole thing to Him. So you have that weight off your shoulders. So first you got to give that distraction to God. Pray to God that He'll take that distraction away from you. And after you do that, you got to fix your eyes on Jesus. Realign yourself with your goal, where you're heading, your destination. Now once you're not held down by that distraction, it allows you to press on stronger with more perseverance to your goal. And after you have your eyes fixed on Jesus, then you got to remember that it's not just a little wimpy 100-yard dash. It's a marathon you're running that's going to last you your whole lifetime. It's not just something you can do here, today, this minute, but this is something that's going to have to be repeated again and again and again, all through your life. So I want you to kind of think for a second, just how that would apply to those distractions that you thought of, and how that would look like in your life. Alright, so you kind of got an idea of what it looks like now, and how you can use these 3 steps, and how beneficial they are for you. But now, I want you guys to repeat the 3 steps after me so you can really get them firmly cemented in your mind, and make sure no one's sleeping. Okay, so I want you to get these 3 things firmly cemented in your mind. So I want you to repeat after me. First, we need to give our distractions to God. First, we need to give our distractions to God. Second, we need to fix our eyes on Jesus. So, second, we need to fix our eyes on Jesus. Third, we need to remember that we're in a marathon. Third, we need to remember that we're in a marathon. And following these 3 steps won't always be easy. But the freedom that we experience when we do follow them will be so beneficial. We'll have such a freedom when we do that. We'll be able to run with perseverance, and we'll be able to make it to our goal, which is heaven. So, this morning, if you aren't a Christian, if you aren't in this race, if you're still sitting on the sidelines and haven't got your ticket to start running, I just want you guys to feel open to talking to me, Dave, Rod, some of the older gentlemen here in the church, and ask them how you can get involved with that race in life here after the sermon. But as we close this morning, I just want to close with a word of prayer and help encourage all of us to keep following these 3 decisions, to give our distractions to God, fix our eyes on Him, and run with perseverance. So let's pray. Dear God and Father in heaven, thank you for this wonderful and beautiful day, that we can all be gathered here together, and we can all be running in this race that won't just be today or tomorrow, but will last us a lifetime, God. Help us to run with perseverance and give our distractions to you so we don't have to be held down by a 40-pound backpack of distractions, God. Help us to give those to you. God, help us to fix our eyes on you. Because when we look at the big picture, we see all the struggles and hardships that are along the road for the rest of our life. We get discouraged, God. But help us to just focus on you in this moment so that we can keep pressing on just one step at a time and get through it. And God, please help us to remember that it isn't a 100-yard dash, that it is a marathon, and that this will last a lifetime. Help us not be held back when people make fun of us for coming out to church or try to tear us down for making good decisions, God. Because our goal and our destination is of immense value, God. Heaven and hell is a huge decision that's going to last for eternity. And we need to keep that in mind, God, as we keep pressing on and keep our eyes focused on you, that heaven is just so awesome, God. And help us to keep that in mind. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Okay, now, so guys, pass out communion. I think Kyle's going to be doing the communion message today.